Kamera, akcja!
Hanwei? Greetings, this is the Swords Path speaking. Today I wanted to talk about the unpleasant topic of swords breaking, namely the Hanwei Tinker Pearce longswords. The one in the clip was the fourth specimen of that model I've seen break over the years, so I just decided I had enough of this. Let's do away with the myth of Tinker Pearce Hanwei longsword blunt being a decent accessory for anything but light solo drills and taking selfies. Let's start with the cross-section of the blade. The simplest possible shape is a diamond. It can be further refined by making the slopes concave, which results in a lighter, springer blade. Hanwei TPs employ a fullered construction instead, which is perfectly fine. What is not fine is that the sparring, blunt version of the sword is created by simply taking the edge of the sharp version. It's cheap, it's easy to machine, and it's also not very good for a sparring blunt. In real heavy-duty sparring swords, the edge is further refined, thickened and rounded, to better withstand the shock of repeatedly being bashed against another piece of steel. Reenactment smiths know this, a lot of HEMA smiths know this. It is also, of course, what I employ in my Sword of the Past sparring blunts. But the edge is not the reason why a Hanwei shatters so easily. Swords are not a rigid body in terms of physics. Every sword is subject to harmonic vibrations resulting from its elasticity. This is especially profound when the sword is hit on the flat. While historical steels were pretty stiff, the modern kinds of steel are way more springy, more elastic, and capable of producing much greater amplitudes of vibration. Amplitudes that the historical construction was simply not designed to endure. That is why modern swords usually break at the transition between the blade and the tang and the pommel node. In Hanwei's, both of these areas are weak, the transition geometrically suboptimal, and the threaded pommel tightly screwed on rather than pinned, which results in reduced ability to endure vibrations. Which also connects to the main reason why I wouldn't recommend a Hanwei TP, even as a starter sword: the heat treating. It's the process that determines the balance between hardness, toughness and flexibility in steel. I'll not be getting into details of this, as 5160, the steel that Hanweis are made of, is a pretty straightforward one. There's simply not too many ways in which you can mess it up, the most common one being quenching. A blade is heated and then put in a quenching medium, resulting in a quick drop of its temperature and a great increase in hardness. You can see quenching in almost every Man-at-Arms episode, done with loving care. But industrial heating and quenching that Hanwei employs seems to be nowhere near that careful. Almost every Hanwei blade comes with so-called hotspots. During the heating process, these areas were unintentionally overheated and then quenched, creating harder but also more fragile spots in the blade. A spotty blade can never be safe. It will always shatter sooner or later and at the least expected moment. There were cases of people pierced with broken Hanwei blades or hit with torn off parts of the swords, flying wildly. So, if you want a starter sword, spend 50 USD more and get a Regenier or perhaps a Helbowski. At least you'll be getting a usable warranty. Or you could order a custom sword from me, of course. Meanwhile, thanks for watching and keep slaying. I also recommend that you check out Rafał's beautiful Fiore video, which was the only thing that his Hanwei was used for. It was never used for sparring or even practice, just this movie. Sadly, as you could see, it didn't survive the production of the sequel. So, while it admittedly was a shitty sword, it was still a sword. And the video made with it certainly deserves a watch.